Okay, so now we're going to open up for question and answers, just to make sure if anyone does have any questions, we get it clarified now before the challenge starts. Okay, I think Brian had one on kombucha. So there's sugar in kombucha. First off, for those of you who don't know what kombucha is, it's a fermented drink, okay? Typically when you're fermenting a product, you need sugar so that the bacteria have something to eat so that they can ferment the food, okay? So the sugar used in that product is actually being consumed by the bacteria in that product and not by you. So if it is fermented the appropriate amount of time, then it should be an okay drink to consume, okay?
I meant the alcohol part of it, but that's fine.
About the alcohol part of it? Okay, so about the alcohol part of it too, there's also a factor, because if you do look at a bottle of kombucha, it says there's alcohol in there. Same thing, the alcohol is a byproduct of that fermentation process, and it's in a very low degree. The only reason it even says that on there is that they have to put that on legally, because there may be some in there. So that may be counterindicated to the don't cook with alcohol, but the health benefits of fermented foods far outweighs the negative amount of that tiny little bit of alcohol. You can't say the same for vanilla because it just adds flavoring. You can't say the same for wine put in your cooking or beer used to marinate meat. So for the kombucha, that's going to be okay on both fronts. Okay?
Same with vinegar. Vinegar is okay.
Vinegar is an okay product, yes. I would watch out for if you're using like the balsamic vinegar because it's made with grapes. So you want to make sure that you're using organic. Because you want to have the organic grapes. Tracy?
There's so many different types of eggs out there. How do you know which should you look for in packaging?
For packaging, you want to look for something that actually says organic.
Repeat.
Oh, sorry. For eggs, there's so many types of eggs out. How do you know which eggs to look for? For eggs, the packaging will actually say organic on there. So that's going to be different than a cage-free egg, or different than the high omega-3 eggs, or different than the pasteurized eggs. You want it to say organic on the package. Okay. Okay, wait.
For this, I got two. For the serving of vegetables, are you, like, technically, most people think tomato is vegetable, tomato is actually fruit. Are we going under what, like, commonality of thought is? Like,
We're going to go with commonality of thought.
awesome.
Because if you go as far as tomatoes, are tomatoes a fruit or a vegetable? We're going with commonly assumed this is a fruit, this is a vegetable. Because if you look at technically anything with a seed inside is a fruit, and that would take out a whole lot of vegetables.
Okay, that's what I
So
was making sure.
for the challenge, a tomato is a vegetable. Jen had another question.
And then, sorry. Like, so let's say you drink, sorry. Let's say you drink alcohol that is a wheat-based. Is that -2 because it's alcohol and it's rice-based alcohol or wheat-based alcohol? Do you lose 2 points?
I'm gonna say for alcohol, because there's not a lot of alcohol that
We're calling it a beverage, not a food, so therefore it's.
yeah. I'm going to say for alcohol, because you get the double ding anyway, if you have more than one, then we'll just leave alcohol as alcohol. But I will say for different food products, like if you go out to a restaurant and then you're eating unapproved foods also at the restaurant, that's going to hit you twice, okay? Because you went out to eat and you also ate foods that was off the challenge, okay? Frank?
The only grains that you have listed there are corn, soy, wheat, and rice. What about quinoa and teff and those kinds of grains that aren't those four? And the other part is, I was looking at the ingredient list on Ezekiel bread the other day, and there were seeds like sesame seeds and whatever. What's the difference between a seed and a grain? Or do we
Okay.
need to worry about it?
Okay.
Or if it's not listed on there, don't
First
worry
part
about
of
it.
your question, only the 4 grains. Again, only the 4 grains are the ones that you have to watch out for.
Okay.
So if you want to eat quinoa or you want to eat buckwheat or something that's not on there, that's allowed. Okay, second part of the question, seeds versus grains. Doesn't matter as far as
Doesn't
the
matter as
challenge
far
is
as this goes.
concerned.
Okay.
Okay, so if you are looking at Ezekiel bread, you do want to make sure though that the wheat portion or if it has corn or rice or anything else, is organic and sprouted.
Okay.
For dairy
For dairy.
yogurt,
Yes.
is there any specific type of yogurt or just?
The question was about yogurt, specific type of yogurt. Well, you have to make sure it doesn't have any added sweeteners. So sugar, artificial, stevia, anything, no added sweeteners. And then you also want to make sure that's organic because it is a dairy product. So you want to make sure it's like organic. An example would be Stonyfield. Stonyfield is a pretty easy to find yogurt that's organic and you can find it plain. So on the I guess packaging, you want it to say plain because even vanilla has sugar. So you want to say plain and then make sure it's from an organic source. Okay. I think Jen and then Robbie kind of did this number.
You included on the website a list of like what sweeteners are, because there's a lot that people may not necessarily know that that's a sweetener, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Is there a list on there that people can look so they know that?
Well, as far as sweeteners, yeah,
From
as
the
far as
bottom.
sweeteners, we will put a list on there for all the different names, because when you are looking at your food label, there are going to be a lot of different names that may or may not be sweeteners. It probably will not be an all-exhaustive list because there is so many. So I would say if you're looking at a label and you don't know what something is, you should probably look it up. It's really easy to go Google a product and find out what it is. So we'll get a list up there. And then also, a basic rule of thumb, if you're looking at the label that's on there, if it has sugar listed, it may be natural, it may be not. So if there is a sugar listed, then that's a good indication to definitely look at the ingredients. But I do highly recommend that everyone look at all ingredients, because even if there's a little bit of sugar, but it's less than 0.5 grams, it's still going to show up as 0. So your best bet is just to look at the ingredients. Your best bet, even better than that, is to not buy stuff that comes in a package. Just saying. Okay, I think it was Aaron, and then Robbie. Okay.
Do we let it blend foods, or do we need to eat them as they are? Like if we were to pulverize something into a smoothie or something like that, are we allowed to do that?
Yep. The question is, can you blend foods? Like if you're trying to make a smoothie, yes, you can. Blending is fine. Just want to make sure, like we said, it's more. And you'll see on the note added sugar that if you do blend, you want to have a higher ratio of vegetables to fruit. Okay. Because if you concentrate a lot of fruit into one tiny package, you might as well just be having added sugar. So blending is perfectly fine. It's actually a great way to increase your vegetable intake because it's a lot easier to drink 3 cups of blended vegetables than it is to try and chew 3 cups of non-blended vegetables. So it's a great way to increase your vegetable intake. And Robbie, what was your question?
The meat, the beef is organic, it doesn't have to be grass-fed, just organic.
Yeah, just look for
That's
organic
fine.
because that's going to be easier to find. If you get too picky and it has to be 100% grass-fed, pastured, it's going to take out a lot of options because we just don't have that many. And I still want people to be able to go to their normal grocery stores and find these items. So the beef does have to just be organic. It doesn't have to be 100% grass-fed and pastured. Frank.
Fried foods, does that include sauteing in olive oil?
No.
Okay,
Fried foods is going to be your deep fried foods.
okay.
So you can saute. Do the challenge.
Let's pause real quick.
Pause? Okay.